Indonesian students in Australia who rely on remittances are struggling to pay for basic necessities and rents as the value of the rupiah plummets. Now weaker than it was at the height of the Asian financial crisis, the rupiah is currently just under 13,000 to $1 Australian dollar. ABC Indonesia's digital journalist Natasya Salim has been covering the story and joins me now in the studio. Natasya, thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, what is it about the economy that has led to the rupiah, essentially tumbling to the level it is right now?
Yeah, there's actually some things that has caused that, Girish. One of them is because of the fact that the USD is getting stronger, which means that investors would put their money into USD compared to developing countries like Indonesia, for example. Another thing is because of the geopolitical tension that's happening right now, which sort of also impacted the price of fuel and then energy. And that has also created an impact in Indonesia. So especially with Indonesia being one of the largest importers in the world.
And it's a bit of a double whammy, isn't it, when it comes to Indonesian students, because they have to pay more for tuition fees when they convert the rupiah to the Aussie dollar or the British pound if they were to study there. But also, like the rest of the world, Australia is also experiencing, rising living costs. So you've spoken to a few international students here from Indonesia. What have they been telling you?
Yeah, they are having a difficult time for sure, especially for students who are still funded by their parents. So far, they still receive the same amount of money in Australian dollars, but in order for the parents back home to reach that amount of money, it would require them to work even harder. So students have told me that nowadays they've been trying to find a part-time job despite not wanting to do it soon. I mean, because when they came, they wanted to focus on studying, but then now they have to get a part-time job earlier than they should. And they've been also cutting allowances on food, trying to eat one portion of meal twice, for example, and cutting allowances for entertainment, hanging out with friends, because that could be expensive, and also trying to find free meals and free vouchers and things like that.
Yeah, so it's quite a big social cost for those who are still here. But so do you think Indonesian students who are currently in Indonesia who may think of studying overseas might now think twice or may delay, getting a tertiary education in Australia, for instance?
They might actually, but it really depends on their wealth as well. Maybe students who come from a richer family background wouldn't mind going overseas to study. But for those who are not, I think they would resort to scholarships because they would be more helpful. But that would also mean more competition in that area. But we also talked to a few students who are on scholarships here. They're also not having an easy time right now. They're basically, even though some of them have received more money from the scholarship providers, but they say that this money is just enough. There's nothing to save up here. So yeah, it's not easy either for them here.
Yeah, not at all. So that's over here. But going to Indonesia, what's been the government and the president's response to the falling rupiah? It is a national issue. What have they had to say about it?
Our President Prabowo Subianto downplayed the whole thing. Actually, in one occasion, he mentioned that maybe in what might be an attempt to calm the people, he mentioned that villagers should not worry about the weakening of rupiah because they don't use dollar. Obviously, literally, they don't in Indonesia because we use rupiah, but the impact is not direct for them. If anything, they're one of the first people to feel the impact because most of them work as farmers or fishermen, and they have to pay more for fertilizer or pesticides and even fuel for fishermen. And experts have warned for the government to stop doing this because it could send a dangerous signal for the investors.
Yeah, it's quite the economic situation there in Indonesia. So we will, keep a close watch on how the rupiah performs and the economic figures in the months ahead. And Natasya Salim from ABC Indonesia, thank you very much.
Thanks, Girish.